Yes, let's start today's session. In the last lecture of .NET, we were discuss just basic demonstration. So look at this. Just quickly, I'll read the statements which I discussed in the last lecture. .NET is a framework which is designed by Microsoft company. Okay. .NET was announced by Bill Gates in the year of 2000, and the first version of .NET was released in the year of 2002. From 2002 to 2015, there was .NET framework which makes platform dependent. That means which will run on only Windows operating system. But from 2016 to till 2024, .NET is completely core framework. That means which can run on any operating system .NET core framework. Okay. But actually here .NET, according to Microsoft Corporation, there is no abbreviation for .NET. Only the programmer's point of view. .NET is nothing but network enabled technology or network enterprise technology. Generally, why we can call it as network enabled technology or network enterprise technology means the moment once we develop the application using .NET platform, that applications, most of the applications can able to run over the net, over the network. That's what people will call it as network enabled technology or network enterprise technology. But I'm saying that according to Microsoft Corporation, there was no abbreviation for .NET. But many students ask me, what is dot here? Look at this. Most of them think that dot is nothing but it's an extension. Generally, normally, where we can see the dot extension, dot txt, dot jpg, like that extension files purpose, we use dot. But in this, according to .NET platform, dot is an operator. Okay, it is a special operator. This operator, we can call it as member access operator. Later, while starting the programmatic level in C#.NET especially, while once we start writing programming part, I'll explain more about this dot. But remember, this dot is nothing but it's an operator. What kind of operator it is, member access operator. To access any members or variables or methods in .NET, we use dot operator here. That's what we can call it as .NET only. And I explained .NET framework versions, but no one is using .NET frameworks nowadays. All are using .NET core frameworks. But look at this .NET core versions also explained. But in the last lecture, I have given the information about .NET Core 3.1 version. But actually .NET Core 1.2 version also there. I already said that .NET Core version 1.0 is there, which is released in the year of 2016, I said. 2016 onwards, we are using .NET Core. Then .NET Core 2.0 is also there. .NET Core 2.0, which is released in the year of 2018. And .NET Core 3.0, which is 2019 actually. 2019. And .NET Core 3.1 is there. Actually, yesterday I clearly mentioned .NET Core 3.1 released on December 13, 2022, subject to correction. This is support end actually. Okay, this is support ending. I have mentioned the years are whatever the years, support ending years, these are not released years. Okay, by mistake I included these years are support ending years. So that's what I'm trying to correct it. So let's remove this all so that you'll get clarity now for small changes. So this is not released version. This is not released years. These are support ending years actually. Now coming to the point 3.1, 2019. 3.1 2019. Next 5.0 directly. There was no 4 version 2020. Next .NET 6.0. We can call it as 6. That is 2021. Now .NET 7. 2023. Right now we are in core version 8.0 2024. This is exact versions of .NET Core. So please correct this information. So .NET Core started from 2016 till 2024. We are in .NET Core 8.0 version. Okay. But .NET Framework versions, these are 2022 up to 2022. Still .NET Framework also was there. But still some companies are preferring .NET Framework VS 2022 also. The latest version of Visual Studio is 2022 only. Okay. Yes. But the moment when we use .NET Core versions, which will make platform independent, when we use .NET framework versions, which will make platform dependent. And in .NET development, I said clearly in the last lecture, we are going to cover C#.NET subject, ASP.NET Core, ASP.NET Core MVC, Core Entity Framework, Web API. Okay, so these all explanation I have already done in the last lecture. Programming language is C#.NET. ASP.NET Core is for web application development. But in web application development, what architecture we are following? MVC, Model View Controller. Model is represent data access layer. View is nothing but presentation layer. Presentation layer purpose, we are using UI technologies for designing purpose. And controller is nothing but completely business access layer. Action methods we are going to write. The total action method logic we are going to write in which language? C#.NET language. And entity framework also there, ASP.NET web application development related. Sometimes without hitting or writing the SQL queries, we can perform database operations for making migrations against the database models. And web API option also there. This is another subject in web development. This is API creation purpose. API is a software tool which enables the communication between two or more applications. Okay, then Microsoft SQL Server also there. Microsoft SQL Server we are going to use for database design and database store. So this is what we explained in the last lecture clearly. In today's lecture, I'm going to discuss another important part of the .NET, that is .NET components. We are going to discuss .NET components, sir. What are the .NET components are there? What is the use of .NET components in the execution process, and how the code is going to be executed in .NET, especially when we write the programs in C#.NET, how the code is going to execute. I'm going to explain you step by step. So listen carefully. Code execution process. Code execution process in .NET. Code execution process in .NET. Let me explain code execution process in .NET. See, first of all, if you write program in C#.NET language, because our language is C#.NET. But one more thing, sir, is there only one language in .NET framework platform? No, sir. .NET provides, there are a lot of languages to the developer, especially Microsoft Corporation is going to provide lot of programming languages to develop .NET applications. But in that C#.NET is the most powerful and oftenly used programming language. Like C#.NET is there, VB.NET is there, J#, F#, okay, Iron Ruby, Iron Python, Windows PowerShell, so many what we can say, .NET framework languages are there. So most popular and oftenly used programming language in real time is C#.NET only. So when we write code in C#.NET or any programming languages of .NET, how the code is going to be executed. Generally, as a programmer, we are going to write the code and we can hit some enter button or we can hit some run button and automatically we'll see the output actually in the output window. But you must know what's going to happen internally, how the code is going to be executed. You must know that step-by-step mechanism. So that's what I'm explaining here. First, whatever we write the code, that is called source code. SSE means source code here. What you type in your Visual Studio editor or any other editor, which language you are using like C#, .NET, that code is called source code. Generally, every programming language is having its own compiler. Okay, because C#, .NET is completely compiler-based language. Every programming language is having its own compiler. Source code written in C#, .NET, so language compiler is there. LC means language compiler it is. The source code is compiled by language compiler, that is respective language compiler. If we write the logic in C#, .NET, then C#, .NET language compiler is there. If we write the logic in VB.NET, VB.NET language compiler is there. So source code is compiled by language compiler and it generate a MSIL code, or we can call it as CIL code. MSIL stands for here Microsoft Intermediate Language, or it also called as CIL, Common Intermediate Language. So up to here, this is the first compilation. In the .NET code execution procedure, there are two compilation takes place. As of now, I just explained first compilation, how it takes place. Whatever we write the logic in C#, .NET, that logic is source code only. Generally, source code can be compiled by language compiler, and after that it generate MSIL code or CL code. MSIL means Microsoft Intermediate Language or Common Intermediate Language. Up to here, this is the first compilation, I can say that. Okay, this is what first compilation. First compilation, this is. And in the second compilation, this Microsoft Intermediate Language or CL code can be compiled by CLR. Look at this Common Language Runtime. CLR JIT compiler is there. Okay. CLR is having one more compiler that is called what? JIT compiler. Just-in-time compiler, we can say that. In this, the code is compiled by JIT compiler. After compilation, the CLR is the main component of Common Language Runtime, we can call it as. This CLR component is going to execute total MSIL code. After that execution completion, it produce a system understandable code, byte code or native code of your operating system. And finally, this bytecode can be transferred to operating system for further execution. Look at, sir, this is the second compilation of .NET program execution. This is second compilation. There will be two compilation takes place in entire .NET. So let me give the abbreviations also here. SSC means what I said here, source code, I'm saying that. LC means what I'm saying, language compiler. Language compiler. Yes, every language is having its own compiler. MSIL means Microsoft Intermediate Language Code. Intermediate language code, this is. CIL means Common Intermediate Language Code. Common Intermediate Language Code. Common Intermediate Language Code. Okay, yes. Next, CLR means Common Language Runtime. These are very, very important components. Without this component, we cannot able to write .NET code. We cannot able to run .NET code. So these are the important components. Common Language Runtime. JIT means just-in-time compiler. Just-in-time. Okay, look at this. This is exactly the code execution process is going to happen in .NET platform. Once again, I'll explain quickly. Whatever we write the logic in Visual Studio editor, that is source code. Before execution or before compiling, the code is source code. That source code is compiled by language compiler, and that language compiler will produce MSIL code. This is Microsoft Intermediate Language or Common Intermediate Language. This is not a system understandable code. This is only for Microsoft framework related code will be generated. But this framework related code again internally compiled by JIT compiler. This compiler is associated with main component called Common Language Runtime. This CLR is only a main component in entire .NET, which can be execute complete code. After completion of execution by CLR, it produce what code? Bytecode. This bytecode is nothing but system understandable code. So after this bytecode can be transferred to operating system for further process. Because operating system can do what? It will collect the bytecode from the compiler or runtime environment, and it will produce the output to the developer. So this is exactly happening source codes execution process in entire the .NET. There are two compilations are there, first compilation and second compilation. Even how Java programmers, they use a compiler called, component called JVM. Java Virtual Machine was there for Java programmers. But we are .NET programmers, that's what we are using a component called Common Language Runtime, CLR. Okay. Simple Java programmers, they use JVM architecture. .NET programmers, we use CLR architecture. That is only difference. Even in Java also, the second compilation takes place in JVM JIT compiler. Okay. So this is exactly how the code is going to be takes place when we write and run the execution button internally. This much process is going to take place. Finally, we are getting output. This information you must know that. Okay, most of the people they don't tell what's going to happen internally, but this is compulsory. You must know that. This is code execution process in entire the .NET. What programming language you are using, no matter you are using C# .NET or VB.NET or any code, this is same procedure actually. Okay. Next, .NET framework components. There are mainly two components we need to discuss. .NET framework components. .NET framework means .NET Core framework or .NET framework. Both are same. Okay, Core framework components are there. What framework components are there? There are two main components are there. One is BCL. Okay, this is nothing but base class libraries. Look at sir, base class libraries, we can call it as base class libraries. This also called as FCL, framework class libraries. Framework class libraries. Framework class libraries. These are. This is the first component. There are two main components are there in .NET Core framework or .NET framework. Base class libraries or framework class libraries. Next component is CLR. Just now we discussed in the code execution process. That component will play the vital role. So CLR is nothing but what? Common language runtime. Yes. See, sir, these two components are completely heart of the .NET execution process. See, first component, without using base class libraries, you can't able to write the code. And after writing the code, without CLR, common language runtime component, you can't run the code. Both are important for the .NET programmers because they need to write the code. If they want to write the code, what they need to use? Base class libraries. After completion of writing the logic, they need to execute the code. Yes, to execute the code, what component is required? CLR is required. Okay, try to understand what I'm trying to say. To write the code, base class libraries are required or framework class libraries. To run the code, CLR is required. Both are required. Writing the code is important. Running the code also important. Fine. I can say these base class libraries are nothing but what? Just ready-made resources. Okay, ready-made resources means what? The moment when we install .NET Core framework or .NET framework in our computer, so Microsoft people, they provide lots of built-in libraries that all the libraries built-in resources will be installed automatically. That installed libraries are nothing but ready-made resources. Ready-made resources means what? Readily useful, ready to use. So Microsoft team already implemented lot of logic. They are providing us in the form of libraries to use in the application development. Just because of these base class libraries only, .NET application development will be quickly and easily compared to Java, because we are having ready-made resources which is provided by Microsoft company. Fine. What is library? Generally, class library is nothing but what? Collection of classes. Suppose if I ask you book library, what is their collection of books? Same here, class libraries, collection of classes. Each class contain collection of methods. Each method contain collection of variables, collection of logics like that. So they have already implemented some logic they are giving to us. That logic we are going to use in our application development. So base class libraries are just nothing but header files in C++. Before going to write C language code and C++ code, how the programmers are going to import on the top of the program, how they are going to include hash include stdioh, hash include conio.h, okay, console input output, standard input output like that. And how the Java programmers on the top of the program before going to write that logic, how they import packages. Same in .NET, we are going to use this base class libraries, but just the name is different. In .NET context, we can call them namespaces. Okay, I'll talk about namespaces also later once we start or once we launch Visual Studio Editor. There we can try to import all the namespaces over there. Okay, so base class libraries or framework class libraries, we can call it as. Fine, sir. So these base class libraries automatically will get when we install .NET Core framework or .NET framework. But these base class libraries comes into two platforms, like two patterns. Two parts of the base class libraries are there. First part is .exe. Second part is DLL. DLL concept is very important in .NET, DLL. So base class libraries are in the form of two ways. First one is what? .exe. Second one is what? DLL. Okay. .exe is an executable file. .exe is an executable file. Executable file. The moment when we double click on .exe file, automatically your program is going to be execute because this is executable file. Why? Because this directly will execute means .exe is having an entry point. Entry point. What is the entry point of the program? You know, main method. Main method is nothing but entry point of the program. So inside the .exe, we will find the entry point of the program. Obviously, remember that in every program in .NET, what is the entry point? That means entry point is nothing but where program starts execute. That is called main method. Generally, in .exe, we have a main method. That's the reason when we double click or when we use this .exe directly, we can able to see the output because it is an executable file. It's an entry point. It is having entry point. That's a main method is having. But whereas DLL file, okay, first of all, what is DLL? Dynamic link library. Dynamic link library, we can call it as DLL. This is not an executable file. It is an supportive file. It is an supportive file. Why supportive file we are calling? Because whenever we are going to use directly this DLL file, it won't run and it won't execute directly without having .exe help. I'm saying that this is the dynamic link library. It is a supportive file. Supportive file is nothing but it don't have entry point. That means what? No entry point, no main method here. DLL file do not have any entry point. That's what we are unable to run this file directly. It is just supportive file. It will support to .exe while execution. Any libraries or any stuff is required to add .exe. This dynamic link library will help you. So dynamic is meaning is what during the program execution time or runtime. Link means what we are adding some resources as a link in the form of libraries. So ultimately, I'm saying clearly, try to understand in the code execution, the required libraries are added to the .exe at dynamically. That's what we can call it as dynamic link library. This once we have in .NET application DLL, once we have a DLL, this DLL we can able to reuse it anywhere. So reusability purpose, we can use generally this DLL file. So this is dynamic link library concept here. So generally base class library component under will come in the form of two different ways. The first way is .exe and second way is DLL file. .exe is directly an executable file which is having an entry point, so which is having main method. That's what we can able to run directly. DLL means dynamic link library. It is a supportive file which is don't have any entry, no entry point. So if it is no entry point means what? Which is just support to the .exe. It will not run directly. These two are very, very important in our programmatic way, especially in C#.NET, how to prepare DLL files, how to use this DLL source code into other application. Also, we will see practically with application oriented. So this is the first important component in .NET base class library. I'm concluding that about base class library. Without base class libraries, .NET programmer cannot able to write the logic. Okay, yes. Once my logic part is complete, sir, using my all base class libraries, whatever the inbuilt libraries are there, ready-made resources are there, using those libraries, I have done my code. I have done my logic. Next procedure, what? I'm ready to execute my code. To execute the code, compulsory what component is required? CLR. Because the name itself, the definition is there. Common language runtime. This component will provide runtime environment or execution environment to the .NET applications, which is commonly. Okay, no matter programmer is trying to write logic in which language, because .NET supports many languages like C#.NET, VB.NET, J#.NET, F#.NET. Okay, so there are so many languages can be supported. In any language code, if you want to run, what component is required? CLR is required, common language runtime. But this common language runtime is having four subcomponents. First subcomponent is CLS. It stands for Common Language Specification. Common Language Specification, we can say that. Next subcomponent is CTS. CTS stands for Common Type System. Common Type System. Next subcomponent, third subcomponent is very important, GC. It stands for Garbage Collector. Garbage Collector, we can say that. And fourth component is JIT, Just-in-Time Compiler. This is Just-in-Time Compiler. Okay, this is Just-in-Time. So these four subcomponents are present in the main component called CLR, Common Language Runtime component only. If out of these four subcomponents, any one of the subcomponent is not going to work well, okay, then CLR is not going to provide the proper execution or runtime environment for .NET application. Every subcomponent is required to work properly, because here every subcomponent is having its own task to do in the process of execution. So that subcomponent must and should do their task. If they complete their task properly, then only CLR will successfully provide the execution environment or runtime environment for .NET application, otherwise not. We'll speak about one by one component. What is the role of these subcomponents in the context of CLR? See, sir, CLRs, Common Language Specification. Okay. Just now I said .NET support many different languages like C Sharp, VB, J Sharp, F Sharp, JScript. Okay. Uh, what we can say, Iron Ruby, Iron Python, Windows PowerShell. These many languages are there. That means programmer is having clear option to select any language to build .NET application. But most of the cases, programmer choices C# .NET only, or rare cases VB .NET only. But remaining languages are uh, very specific cases. Okay. But if programmer may come with any language code like C# or VB or J# or any language, you know very well every programming language is having its own syntactical rules and regulations. For example, if I write code in C# .NET, I can follow C# .NET syntactical rules and regulations. If I write code with VB.NET, I can follow VB.NET syntactical rules and regulations. So obviously, one programming language cannot understand other programming language syntactical rules and regulations. But we are saying that common language runtime will provide runtime environment for all programming languages or not, which are related to, which are support to .NET. That's where the common language specification component, which is associated with CLR component, will do what you know. Every programming language rules and regulations. A programmer may come with VB.NET, may come with C#, may come with F# or J#. No matter, in the execution time, this common language specification will convert all the programming language syntactical rules and regulations into CLR understandable format. So that CLR is having common format. CLR generally cannot understand the different programming language rules and regulations and specifications. But just because of CLS component is there, this component responsibility is what? To collect all the rules and regulations and syntactical specification from the programming language that will be converted into CLR understandable format. For that purpose, we have a component called CLS, Common Language Specification. Okay. Next, coming to the CTS, Common Type System. This common type system is also nothing but what? Data type system. It also called as data type system actually. Data type system. Even programming language to programming language, data type system is also different or not? Yes, sir, compulsory. All the programming languages may not have the same syntax to define or declare the data types and all. Every programming language is having its own data type mechanism. One programming language data type cannot be understood by other programming language. So that's what here common type system will do what? This common type system can convert all the programming languages data type system into CLR understandable format data type system. That's what data types are common in the execution procedure. No matter you are coming with which programming language data types, all data types during the runtime, it will convert into common types only. That common type related to CLR commonly can understand the CLR. So during the program execution time, this common type system component is responsible to convert all programming language data type system into CLR understandable data type system format. This is the responsibility of CTS. Okay. But here, CTS data type systems are classified into two types. We will also discuss in detail in the programmatic way. Value type and reference type will be there, sir. Actually, value types are there. Generally in .NET data type mechanism, value type as well as reference type is there. Reference type. Value type means the value directly can store into the memory location, like int a equals to 10. This is value type. Reference type means the directly value is not going to store, rather than it will store into other memory location. Like look at this, b equal to a. Notice this. This value type means what? My value is 10. Okay. This type is integer. I'm directly assigned this 10 value to the A variable. This is value type. The value which is going to store directly into the memory location of A is called value type. Reference type means what? The value which is not going to store inside the A, rather than we are storing the A variable value 10 already, we are referred to other variable memory, that is B. So here A is referred to the B. So B is the reference type. So B is collecting the value from A. A is already assigned the value 10. So this is value type and reference type. In more detailed, you will come to know once we start C#.NET logics and programmatic way. So data type system generally in .NET value type and reference type dependency only. But value type is going to work with stack mechanism. There is a stack and heap and all those things we'll discuss later. Stack mechanism. Reference type is going to work with heap mechanism. Random memory location it is. And stack means first in, first out, last in, first out, like this mechanisms are there. I'll explain you in the data structures oriented one. So this is common type system, which is responsible to convert all the data type, different language data types into common understandable format, which is related to CLR only. Fine, sir. So language and syntactical specification converting into CLR understandable format purpose, what component is there? CLS. And data types understanding purpose, data type conversion into common language runtime data type purpose, we use CTS. But third component is there, listen sir, it is garbage collector, which is most important in every programming language nowadays. So garbage collector is nothing but, garbage is nothing but unused or unnecessary or unwanted. So unused resources or unnecessary resources, okay, unused objects, we need to collect it and we can remove from the memory. So what is the importance of garbage collector? Very, very important, sir. If you don't have garbage collector in every programming language, and programmer should take responsibility to write the memory management logics. Generally, the garbage collector is providing AMM. AMM stands for automatic memory management. Automatic memory management. So garbage collector is used to provide automatic memory management for .NET applications. See, generally in .NET applications, we are going to focus as a programmer on our logic. Okay, what is your requirement? You have to keep it in your mind. Based on requirement, you have to try to develop the logic. But you need not to keep in your mind how much memory is required for this logic. Okay, how to maintain the memory efficiency. Okay, this is not required. This is not related to the programmer, because there is a component which is associated with CLR. During the program execution time, this garbage collector will simply perform automatic memory management. Automatic memory management is nothing but what? Automatically memory can be managed by garbage collector. Imagine that in .NET environment, if there is no garbage collector available, as a programmer from our side, along with logic implementation, we should also write some memory management code also. That's really a complex architecture, because we have to focus on logic logic development, along with we have to focus on memory management code also. That's a little bit complex, and programmer time is going to waste. So that's what we need not to concentrate on memory, how memory is allocation and deallocation, everything automatically will take care by garbage collector component. Automatic memory management technique is there. Very simple. Automatic memory management means in the development process, programmers usually create so many objects. Okay, that objects can be divided into two categories. One is objects in use. These are useful objects which are really help to run our application. Next one is idled objects. Idled objects means these objects also called as what? Garbage objects. Garbage means unwanted. Garbage objects. Simple. Automatic memory management is the process of removing idled objects from the memory or destroy idled objects from the memory. And we are going to provide memory allocation for objects in use. This process is nothing but automatic memory management. See, every time so many objects can be created by programmer, that objects sometimes ideally sit in the memory without having task or without having any work. Unnecessarily that these objects are occupied in the memory. That objects are idled objects or garbage objects. These garbage objects compulsory we have to clean up. Who is going to perform the cleanup means garbage collector. Generally, internal logic is actually deeply also we can discuss, but that's not required at this moment. Generally, the garbage collector component always will call a destructor. Okay, in object-oriented programming, generally constructors and destructor concept is there. Constructor means what? General meaning to construct or to build. Destruct means what? Destroy, to remove. So garbage collector internally will call a destructor. So the destructor will come and it will uh, deallocate the memory for these idled objects. Okay. The idled objects means unnecessarily these objects are occupy the memory. That means garbage collector will identify these idled objects. Immediately the garbage collector will call the destructor. The destructor role is what you know. The destructor role is deallocating the memory for these idled objects. Once the memory is deallocated for these idled objects, these idled objects can be destroyed or removed from the memory by garbage collector. So that garbage collector will take the responsibilities what unwanted or idled objects can be removed from the memory. Always, which is really important to us, what objects are required to run our application properly. That object's purpose we need to arrange memory. Okay. So useful objects purpose, we are arranging the memory. Unuseful objects, we are going to destroy it from the memory. So that's because of we never face the memory issues while implementing the logics in .NET. Why? Because garbage collector component only there to provide facilities to run your application properly. That's what we never face any memory issues. Imagine there is no garbage collector component. We need to write manual logic, allotting memory, deallocation memory. That is very big headache. So this is garbage collector, which is associated with language runtime component. So this component will provide all the facilities in the execution process. So ultimately CLR will provide all the facilities to your .NET application to run properly. And last component is just-in-time compiler, because after completion of language specification and common data types checking and memory management issues performed, and it is ready to compile by JIT compiler once just-in-time compiler is compiled successfully, this common language runtime will generate what? Bytecode successfully. This bytecode is nothing but system understandable format code. Finally, this code can be transferred to our operating system. Operating system will never execute the code. Remember that. Many of the students may ask like, who is going to execute programming code means OS. OS will never execute. OS don't know your .NET framework. OS don't know Java related things. OS is nothing but it's a operate the code and it will disclose the output to the output window. That is the main process of OS. So this is the complete main important section code execution process and .NET components which I explained today. Even it is theoretically, but interview point of view, it's more important. Okay, because these components purpose compulsory, you will be faced many questions in interviews, no doubt at all. Trust me, that is. So that's what I took a lot of time to explain about this in detail. So this is very important discussion. And tomorrow we will start our programming language. That is what's a C#.NET. We will enter into C#.NET introduction. Immediately after few minutes introduction of C#.NET, immediately we will launch Visual Studio. In that Visual Studio, how to prepare, how to write the programming logic, total settings, and everything we will be start. Tomorrow is important session. Don't miss anyone, please. Because once I launch Visual Studio Code, I cannot stop continuously. I'll discuss the topic and I'll write the logics in C#.NET point of view only. There are a lot of big topics are there in C#.NET. Once you will be good at in C#.NET logic, your process in future while developing web application with core, ASP.NET Core MVC, even web API, that will become easy, sir. So if you give up in C#.NET only, then nobody can help you in the process of development of ASP.NET. Trust me, C#.NET is most powerful. It's completely core subject, what we are going to learn. Focus more on C#.NET learning and feel and make the comfort level increase in development of ASP.NET MVC Core and Web API Entity Framework. Because in entire the ASP.NET Core MVC Entity Framework Web API, we are going to use main code is C#.NET related code only. So please try to focus on learning of C#.NET. Basics also very important. Many of the students tell me that I know these basics are already, you are wasting time. No, that's not correct way. Basics are very important. If you ignore the basics, you will be big trouble in real-time implementation. Okay, so this is about from my side today. That's it for today. If you have any question regarding today's discussion, you can feel free to ask me. Tomorrow, don't miss. It is very important session is going to take place. C#.NET introduction, Visual Studio launching, and writing code, basic code, how to handle the application code. That's it from my side. If any one new students here, no worries at all. Okay, because our team will send the yesterday demo link video YouTube channel, which they have uploaded. Even this video lecture also they upload in YouTube channel. This is the second video, second session, which we have conducted. And I strongly recommend to watch my first video in YouTube channel. Our team will send today through your mail. So this is just I explain. Okay, every day that recording session is going to be recorded. That recorded video will upload to your Google Drive. After attending two more demos, 2 or 3 demos, and you have to enroll for this course. Once your enrollment process is over, obviously I'll collect your mail IDs from DURGASOFT. From there onwards, I can start share the video lectures and material, PDF material. Any questions from your side? You can proceed now. Yeah. I think there is no questions. Have a nice time. See you
I have
tomorrow.
one question.
Yeah.
So what if we, so now, right now, if you want only the C# course, and later in future, like if you want to continue with the core course, right? So
Yeah.
how, what will be like, how can we proceed with the full course again? Means again, you will start with the C# or
Yeah. See, the thing is only if you go with completely .NET package, I think the difference is the fee structure might be different.
so we need to pay again for the C# as well?
No. See, right now they have divided the C#.NET fee structure. I don't know what, but I only gave the quotation, but I really forgot. No problem. Only you can enroll for C#.NET course. That what amount they decided you have to pay. But
Okay.
later, if you opted for complete extension subject like ASP.NET Core MVC, and you have to pay for that only. But both if you add, then 1K or 2K may be increase.
Okay.
If you opted now only, then that will be decrease. That's the matter.
Okay.
Mostly for our case, like C#.NET and ASP.NET Core Web API is enough.
Uh,
Yeah.
See, in that total course .NET, C# will be cover ASP.NET Core, MVC, Entity Framework, Web API, and
Yeah.
Microsoft SQL Server, database related, including basics of HTML. CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, Bootstrap. It's a part of ASP.NET Core development. Our team clearly mentioned in the mail, I think so. You will be able to get the details also. How much you need to do for only C# and how much you need to do for total package course. You just check over there. Yeah. See you tomorrow. Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.